In a busy garage in downtown Chicago, a 32-year-old mechanic with brown hair and grease-stained hands watches a Hells Angel biker rush through the door, tears streaming down his face, begging someone to fix his bike so he can reach his dying daughter at the hospital. Every mechanic turns away. Every customer steps back. But Nathan Cole steps forward and gets fired on the spot for helping. What he doesn't know yet, the biker he just saved is the CEO's brother-in-law. And what happens next will shock everyone. Before we dive in, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Comment your city below. Let's see how far this story travels. The front door slammed open so hard the windows shook. Nathan Cole jerked his head up from the Ford F-150's engine grease dripping from his knuckles. In 3 years at Hendrick's Premium Auto, he'd never heard that sound. Then came the voice. "Please, somebody help me." A man stood in the middle of the lobby, massive, 6'4" at least, leather vest covered in patches. Hells Angels, tattoos wrapping his arms like dark ropes. The kind of guy who'd make a bouncer think twice. But his face, God, his face. Tears cut through the dust on his cheeks. His hands shook like leaves in a storm. "My daughter," he choked out. "She's been in an accident. Surgery, Northwestern Memorial. My bike died 2 blocks from here. Please, I'm begging you." The lobby froze. Nathan watched every single person take a step back. Linda at the front desk suddenly couldn't lift her eyes from her computer. 2 mechanics who'd been walking forward spun around and vanished into the back like ghosts. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The biker turned in a slow circle, searching every face for something, anything human. "I'll pay whatever you want," he said, voice cracking. "Double. Triple. I don't care. She's 16 years old. She's all I have." Derek Lawson stepped out from behind the service counter. Shop manager. 46 years old. Smile like a shark that smelled blood. "Sir, I'm going to need you to leave." The biker's head snapped toward him. "What? You heard me? Out, now." "No, you don't understand my daughter." "I understand perfectly." Derek crossed his arms. "We don't service your kind here. Call a cab. Call your biker buddies. I don't care. Just get out of my shop." Nathan's stomach turned to ice. "My kind," the biker's voice dropped low. "Dangerous but not violent wounded." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means exactly what I said." Derek turned to the customers in the waiting area, playing to his audience. "Can you believe this guy walks in looking like he just escaped from prison and expects the red carpet treatment?" Nervous laughter rippled through the room. The biker didn't move. His massive hands hung at his sides, clenching and unclenching. Fighting something, swallowing something. "She's in surgery," he whispered. "She might die. I just need 15 minutes. 10, 5. Please." And I said no. Derek stepped closer, chest puffed out like a rooster. "Door's right behind you, pal. Use it." Nathan felt something crack inside his chest. He knew that look on the biker's face. He'd worn it himself standing on street corners at 17 hungry, cold, and visible, begging for spare change while people walked past like he wasn't even human. He knew what it felt like to need help and find nothing but closed doors. His mouth opened before his brain could catch up. "I'll do it." Every head in the room turned. Derek's smug expression curdled into something ugly. "What did you just say?" Nathan was already moving, pulling a socket wrench from his belt. "I said I'll do it. What's wrong with the bike fuel line ignition?" The biker stared at him like he was hallucinating. You'd really help me. That's what mechanics do, isn't it?" Nathan walked past Derek without a glance. "Show me where it is." "Cole," Derek's voice sliced through the air. "Stop right there." Nathan stopped, didn't turn around. "You walk out that door, you're done. Finished. I'll have your termination papers signed before you get back." 3 years. 3 years of swallowing insults. 3 years of watching less skilled mechanics get promoted because they laughed at Derek's jokes. 3 years of being invisible. Nathan turned his head just enough to catch Derek's eye. "Then I guess you better start typing." He pushed through the door into the October cold. The Harley sat 2 blocks east, leaning against a parking meter like it was exhausted. Nathan dropped to his knees beside it, hands already moving, checking lines, testing connections. The biker hovered behind him, breathing fast and shallow. Fuel lines clogged, Nathan said. Give me 15 minutes. Why, bia? Nathan didn't look up. Why what? Why are you doing this? You just threw away your job for a stranger. Because your daughter doesn't have time for me to worry about my job. Silence. Nathan could feel the man staring at him, trying to make sense of what was happening. Name's Vince, the biker finally said. Vince Morrison. People call me Iron. Nathan Cole. You got kids, Nathan? No. Wife, girlfriend? Nobody. Nathan found the blockage and started working it loose. My mom died when I was 17. Been solo ever since. Vince was quiet for a long moment. I know what that's like. Being alone. Nobody watching your back. Nathan didn't answer. His fingers worked faster. Sarah's everything to me, Vince continued, voice thick. Her mom walked out when she was 8. Just gone one morning. No note, no goodbye, nothing. It's been me and Sarah against the world for 8 years. She's gonna be fine. You don't know that. Nathan looked up, met the man's red-rimmed eyes dead on. No, I don't, but you're gonna be there when she opens her eyes. That's what matters. Vince's face crumpled. He turned away fast, dragging his hand across his cheeks. I taught her to ride, he said, voice breaking. She wanted to learn. I thought I was being a good dad, giving her something we could share. That drunk driver made a choice, not you, not Sarah. But if I hadn't taught her, stop. Nathan stood up, wiping his hands. Don't do that to yourself. You'll drown in it. Vince turned back around. His eyes searched Nathan's face like he was looking for something hidden. How do you know? How do you understand any of this? Nathan held his gaze. Because I've been where you are. Not the same situation, but the same feeling. Invisible, desperate, begging for help while people pretend you don't exist. He pressed the keys into Vince's palm. Someone helped me once a long time ago. Gave me a chance when nobody else would. He's gone now. But I remember. Vince's massive hand closed around Nathan's. Tight, solid, like he was grabbing a lifeline. I won't forget this, he said. Whatever happens next, I won't forget you. Go. Sarah's waiting. Vince climbed onto the Harley. The engine roared to life, strong and hungry. He looked back one more time, something fierce burning in his eyes. Then he was gone, cutting through traffic like a missile. Nathan stood on the sidewalk watching until the sound faded to nothing. He'd done the right thing. He was also definitely, completely, absolutely screwed. Derek was waiting inside with a smile like a knife. Well, well, well. He slow-clapped each beat, dripping with mockery. The hero returns. Feel good about yourself, Cole. Nathan walked straight to his toolbox and started packing. Nothing to say. Derek followed him, circling like a hyena. No big speech about doing the right thing. I helped a man whose daughter is dying. That's it. A man? Derek laughed. That wasn't a man. That was trash. Did you see the jacket, the tattoos, Hell's Angels, Nathan? Do you know what those people are? Nathan grabbed his socket set, dropped it in the bag. I know he's a father. Oh, cry me a river. Derek's voice turned hard. Guys like that don't deserve sympathy. They deserve whatever comes to them. Something inside Nathan snapped. He turned around, faced Derek head-on for the first time in 3 years. Guys like what? His voice was low, controlled, dangerous. Guys with tattoos, guys who dress different, guys who don't look like your golf buddies. Derek's eyes narrowed. Watch it, Cole. Or what? Nathan stepped closer. You'll fire me twice. I'll make sure you never work in this city again. One phone call, that's all it takes. I know people. Good for you. You think this is funny? Derek moved into Nathan's space close enough to smell the coffee on his breath. Let me explain something since you're too stupid to figure it out yourself. You're nothing. You've always been nothing. A charity case, a street rat who got lucky. The only reason you lasted 3 years here is because I let you. Nathan looked down at the finger Derek had pressed against his chest. Move your hand. Make me. I said move it. Something in Nathan's voice made Derek hesitate. He pulled back, but his expression stayed smug. You've got 10 minutes to clear out. After that, I call security. Nathan zipped his bag, slung it over his shoulder. He looked around the shop one last time. At the mechanics who wouldn't meet his eyes, at the customers pretending to check their phones, at everything he'd given 3 years of his life to. I feel sorry for all of you, he said quietly. Someday you're going to need help, and you're going to remember exactly how you acted today. He walked out without looking back. The walk home took 45 minutes. Nathan barely noticed. His head was a war zone, anger and fear and relief and uncertainty all crashing together until he couldn't tell one from another. He'd done the right thing. He knew that, felt it in his bones. But the right thing didn't pay rent, didn't buy groceries, didn't keep the lights on. His apartment building rose up ahead of him, 5 stories of crumbling brick and creaky stairs. Home for 4 years now, he climbed to the 3rd floor and stopped cold. Someone was sitting on the steps outside his door. Old guy, gray beard, hands like worn leather, work shirt with Jonas stitched on the pocket. Jonas? Nathan stared. What the hell are you doing here? Jonas pushed himself up slowly, knees popping. Figured you might want company. How'd you even find my address? Linda owed me one. Jonas held up a brown paper bag. Brought beer. Nathan wanted to say no, wanted to be alone with his disaster, but Jonas had kind eyes. Tired but kind. Nathan unlocked the door. The apartment was small, clean but sparse. One photo on the shelf, a woman with Nathan's eyes smiling like she had a secret. Jonas nodded toward it. Your mom? Yeah. She's beautiful. She was. Nathan grabbed 2 glasses. Cancer took her 17 years ago. I'm sorry. Me too. They sat at the kitchen table. Jonas poured. Neither spoke for a minute. You did something stupid today, Jonas finally said. Nathan took a long drink. I know. Reckless, dangerous, probably career-ending. You came all the way here to tell me that, no. Jonas set down his glass. I came to tell you it was also the bravest damn thing I've seen in 20 years. Nathan looked up. I mean it, Jonas continued. That shop is full of cowards. Me included, if I'm honest. We keep our heads down, follow the rules, pretend we don't see when Derek crosses lines. You're the first person who ever actually stood up. He shook his head slowly. I'm ashamed it wasn't me. Well, standing up got me fired, so maybe the cowards have the right idea. Maybe, Jonas's eyes glittered, or maybe not. What's that supposed to mean? That biker you helped, Vince Morrison. What about him? You know who he is. Nathan frowned. He told me his name. Said people call him Iron. That's right. Jonas leaned forward. But did he tell you what he used to do before the Hells Angels jacket? No. 20 years ago, there was no Hendrix auto chain. Just one shop in a rented garage on the south side. 2 guys running it, Marcus Hendrix and his business partner. Nathan's blood went cold. Vince Morrison, Jonas said. That was the partner. What? Vince was the mechanic, best in Chicago, some people said. Marcus handled the business side. They built the company together from nothing. Started with 1 location, grew it to 12 before Vince stepped back. Nathan's hands started shaking. Stepped back, why? His wife got sick. Marcus's sister, actually. Cancer. Took 3 years to kill her, but she fought the whole way. Jonas's voice softened. After she died, Vince couldn't do it anymore. Too many memories. He sold most of his shares, kept a small piece, focused on raising his daughter. Nathan couldn't breathe. Wait, you're telling me? I'm telling you that the man Derek kicked out of our shop today, the man you risked everything to help, is Marcus Hendricks' brother-in-law. He's family. He still owns part of the company. And his daughter, Sarah. Jonas let that hang in the air. She's Marcus's niece. The room tilted sideways. Derek doesn't know, Jonas continued. Nobody at the shop knows. They just saw the leather and the tattoos and decided he was garbage. He stood up slowly. But Marcus is going to find out. Probably already has. And when he does, he didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. Nathan stared at the table, mind racing in 100 directions at once. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know. Jonas walked to the door. And because I've been around long enough to understand one thing. Life has a way of remembering who you are when it matters. He paused with his hand on the knob. Get some sleep, Nathan. Something tells me tomorrow's going to be a big day. The door clicked shut behind him. Nathan sat alone in the silence, heart pounding. The biker was family to the CEO. The man everyone rejected, the man Nathan sacrificed his job to help, had built the company that just fired him. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He grabbed it with shaking hands. "This is Vince. Sarah made it through surgery. She's going to be okay. Because of you, I was there when she opened her eyes. I held her hand. I told her I loved her. That wouldn't have happened without you. I will never forget what you did today." "Never. My brother-in-law wants to meet you tomorrow. Stay by your phone. This isn't over. Not even close." Nathan read it 3 times, then he set the phone down and stared at the ceiling, heart slamming against his ribs. He'd walked into work this morning expecting another day of being invisible. Now everything was about to change. He just didn't know how much. Sleep didn't come easy. Nathan lay in bed staring at shadows on the ceiling, replaying everything. Derek's smug face, Vince's desperate eyes, the way everyone in that lobby had stepped back like the man was contagious. He thought about his mom. What would she say if she were here? "You did right, baby. You always do right." He could almost hear her voice, soft, warm, proud. But pride didn't pay bills. Around 2 a.m. his phone lit up again. Different number this time. Chicago area code. "Mr. Cole, this is Marcus Hendricks. I apologize for the late hour, but I've just learned what happened at my shop today. I'd like to speak with you in person tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. Hendricks Premium Auto Main Conference Room. Please confirm." Nathan's throat went dry. The CEO himself. He typed back with trembling fingers, "I'll be there." The response came in seconds. "Thank you, and Nathan, what you did today mattered more than you know. See you tomorrow." Nathan put the phone down. He didn't sleep at all after that. Morning came gray and cold. Nathan showered, shaved, put on the cleanest clothes he owned, dark jeans, a button-down shirt that still had the creases from being folded too long. He looked at himself in the mirror. Same face as yesterday, same brown hair, same tired eyes. But something had shifted, something he couldn't name. He grabbed his keys and headed out. The walk to the shop felt different this time. Longer somehow, every step heavier than the last. When he reached Hendricks Premium Auto, he stopped outside the door. Through the glass, he could see mechanics standing in clusters whispering. Nobody was working. Nobody was laughing. Something was happening. Nathan took a deep breath and pushed through the door. Every head turned. The whispers stopped. Derek stood near the service counter, arms crossed, face pale. 2 men in suits flanked him, HR probably. Legal, and there at the entrance to the conference room stood a tall man in his 50s, silver hair, sharp eyes, expensive watch that caught the fluorescent light. Marcus Hendricks. Their eyes met across the room. Marcus nodded once. Slow, deliberate. "Mr. Cole, thank you for coming. Please step inside." Nathan walked forward. The crowd parted to let him through. Derek's face twisted with something between fear and fury, but he didn't say a word. Nathan stepped into the conference room. The door closed behind him, and everything he thought he knew about his life was about to shatter into a million pieces. The conference room smelled like expensive coffee and tension. Nathan stood just inside the door, heart hammering against his ribs. Marcus Hendricks sat at the head of a long mahogany table, fingers laced together, watching him with eyes that gave nothing away. But he wasn't alone. Vince Morrison sat to his right, same leather vest, same Hell's Angels patches. But today his face was different, calm, steady, almost peaceful, like a storm that had finally passed. "Sit down, Nathan." Marcus gestured to the chair across from him. "Please." Nathan moved on autopilot. His legs felt like they belonged to someone else. "You look like you didn't sleep," Vince said. "I didn't. Neither did I." Vince's voice was rough but warm. "Spent all night at the hospital watching my daughter breathe. Every inhale felt like a gift." Nathan swallowed hard. "How is she?" "Stable. Doctors say she'll make a full recovery." Vince leaned forward. "Because I got there in time. Because of you." The weight of those words pressed down on Nathan's chest. Marcus cleared his throat. "Mr. Cole, I'm going to be direct with you. I've spent the last 12 hours learning things about my own company that make me sick to my stomach." Nathan said nothing. Waited. I pulled the security footage from yesterday. Every second of it. Marcus's jaw tightened. I watched my brother-in-law walk into one of my shops, a company he helped me build from nothing, and get treated like a criminal. I watched my employees laugh. I watched my manager threaten him. And I watched every single person in that building turn their backs on a father begging for help to reach his dying child. His voice cracked on the last word. He paused, composing himself. Every single person, Sean, he repeated quietly, except one. Nathan felt Vince's eyes on him, but couldn't meet them. I didn't do anything special, Nathan said. You just risked your job to help a stranger. Marcus cut him off. You just stood up to your manager in front of the entire staff. You just fixed a motorcycle in 15 minutes while everyone else decided my brother-in-law wasn't worth their time because of how he looked. I've been where he was, Nathan said quietly. I know what it feels like. Marcus studied him for a long moment. Tell me about that. Wait, your file says you were homeless before you started here. I want to hear it from you. Nathan's throat tightened. He didn't talk about this ever. Not to coworkers, not to friends, not to anyone. But something about the way Marcus was looking at him, not with pity, but with genuine interest, made him speak. My mom raised me alone, he began. Dad left before I was born. She worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, just to keep us fed. When I was 17, she got sick. Cancer, moved fast. He paused, fighting to keep his voice steady. She died 3 weeks after the diagnosis. I didn't have any other family. No savings, nothing. Vince's expression shifted. Recognition. Understanding. I lived on the streets for 2 years, Nathan continued. Shelters when I could get a bed, doorways when I couldn't. People looked at me like I was invisible, like I was garbage. I'd ask for help, and they'd walk right past, pretending I didn't exist. What changed? Marcus asked. A man named Henry Wallace. Nathan almost smiled at the memory. Owned a small garage on the south side. One day I was standing outside freezing, and he came out and asked if I wanted to earn $20 sweeping floors. I said yes. Swept those floors every day for a month. Then he started teaching me about engines. He gave you a chance. He gave me a life. Nathan's voice thickened. Taught me everything I know. Let me sleep in the back room until I saved enough for an apartment. When he died 3 years ago, heart attack, I had to start over. Applied everywhere. Hendrix was the only place that called back. Silence filled the room. Vince spoke first. And then you spent 3 years getting treated like dirt by Derek Lawson. Nathan looked up. How do you know about? Because I asked questions. Vince's eyes hardened. I made some calls last night. Talked to people who work at that shop. The things I heard. He shook his head. That man has been making your life hell since day one. It's not I can handle it. You shouldn't have to handle it. Marcus leaned forward. That's the point, Nathan. You shouldn't have to swallow abuse just to keep a paycheck. Nobody should. Nathan didn't know what to say. 3 years of keeping his head down, accepting mistreatment as the cost of survival, and now these 2 men were telling him he deserved better. It felt surreal, like a dream he'd wake up from any second. I want you to understand something, Marcus said carefully. Vince and I started this company 22 years ago. 1 garage. 2 idiots with a dream and more stubbornness than sense. I remember those days. Vince smiled faintly. No heat in the winter, no AC in the summer, working 18-hour shifts just to break even. But we built something, Marcus's voice filled with pride. Something real. And we built it on a foundation of treating people right. Customers, employees, everyone. That's what Hendrix Auto was supposed to stand for. His expression darkened. What I saw on that footage yesterday, that's not who we are. That's not who I want us to be. He stood up and walked to the window back to Nathan. Derek Lawson has managed that location for 6 years. I trusted him. I thought he was running a good shop. He hits his numbers, Nathan said cautiously. Numbers. Marcus spat the word like it tasted bad. Numbers don't mean anything if the people underneath you are suffering. Numbers don't justify discrimination, cruelty, or treating human beings like they're worthless. He turned back around. Derek Lawson's employment with this company ended 30 minutes ago. Nathan's stomach dropped. What? I fired him personally, walked into that shop at 8 a.m., called him into this room, and terminated him on the spot. Security escorted him out. But he's been here for 6 years of building a toxic environment. Marcus's voice was steel. 6 years of taking credit for other people's work. 6 years of discriminating against employees and customers based on how they look, how they dress, where they come from. He shook his head. I should have caught it sooner. That's on me, but it ends today. Nathan sat in stunned silence. Derek was gone. The man who'd made his life miserable for 3 years. The man who'd fired him for helping a desperate father. The man who'd called him a street rat, a charity case nothing. Gone. Just like that. There's more, Marcus continued. I reviewed your personnel file this morning. Your performance reviews, customer feedback, technical assessments. Nathan braced himself. Here it comes. The part where they thank him for yesterday and wish him luck finding new work. You're the best mechanic in that shop, Marcus said. Top 5% across all 12 of our locations. Not a single customer complaint in 3 years. Efficiency ratings through the roof. And you've been passed over for promotion 4 times. I know. Why didn't you complain, file a grievance, push back? Nathan laughed bitterly. With who Derek was the manager. HR never responded to anything. And I needed the job too much to rock the boat. Marcus nodded slowly. That's going to change. He reached into a folder on the table and slid a document across to Nathan. This is a formal offer for the position of lead technician at the Chicago location. Salary increase of 40%, full benefits, a team of your own to manage, and a direct line to me if anything goes wrong. Nathan stared at the paper like it might bite him. You're serious. Dead serious. Marcus sat back down. I've made a lot of mistakes with this company, Nathan. Trusted the wrong people. Missed things I should have seen. Yesterday was a wake-up call. I need people like you. People with integrity. People who do the right thing even when it costs them in positions where they can make a difference. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Vince said simply. Nathan looked at him and the massive biker with tears in his eyes yesterday was smiling now. A small crooked smile that somehow made his whole face look different. You saved my daughter's life, Vince said. Not directly maybe, but you gave me the chance to be there for her, to hold her hand when she woke up, to tell her I loved her. His voice cracked slightly. That's worth more than any job title or paycheck, but you deserve both. Nathan's eyes burned. He blinked hard looking down at the offer letter. His name was printed at the top. Nathan Cole, lead technician. 3 years ago, he'd walked into this building hoping for a chance, hoping someone would see past his past and give him an opportunity to prove himself. Now he was holding exactly that. One condition, he said. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Name it. Jonas, the old mechanic who works the back bay. He's been there 20 years, treated just as bad as me, never complained once. Nathan met Marcus's eyes. He deserves better too. A raise, better hours, something that shows him he matters. Vince laughed a real laugh, warm and surprised. Kids negotiating for someone else before himself. I like him. Marcus smiled for the first time since Nathan had walked in. Done. I'll review his file today. Nathan took a deep breath, picked up the pen, and signed his name. Welcome into leadership, Mr. Cole. Marcus extended his hand across the table. Don't make me regret this. Nathan shook it, firm, solid. I won't. The conference room door opened. A young woman in a tailored suit poked her head in. Mr. Hendricks, the staff is assembled in the main bay. They're ready for you. Marcus nodded and stood. One more thing, Nathan. I want you standing next to me when I address the team. Me why must ye? Because they need to see what this company values. And right now, that's you. Nathan's stomach churned. This was too much, too fast. 24 hours ago, he was nobody, invisible, disposable. Now the CEO wanted him front and center. But he stood up anyway, because that's what you do when someone gives you a chance. You rise. The main bay was silent when they walked out. Every mechanic in the shop stood in a loose semicircle near the service desk. Faces Nathan recognized, guys who'd laughed at Derek's jokes, who'd looked away when the insults flew, who'd pretended not to see when customers were mistreated. None of them were laughing now. And in the back, standing alone by the tool wall, Jonas caught Nathan's eye and gave him a small nod. Pride. Respect. Nathan nodded back. Marcus stepped forward, and the silence somehow got deeper. "I'm going to keep this short," he said, voice carrying through the bay. "Most of you know why I'm here. For those who don't, Derek Lawson was terminated this morning." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. A few exchanged glances. Yesterday, a man came into the shop asking for help. He was a father desperate to reach his injured daughter, and he was turned away, mocked, threatened with police. Marcus's voice hardened. "By your manager, in front of all of you." Nobody spoke. "That man was my brother-in-law. He helped me build this company 20 years ago. His daughter is my niece." Marcus let that sink in. But even if he'd been a complete stranger, someone with no connection to me, no money, no influence, he still deserved basic human decency. And he didn't get it. Not from most of you. A mechanic near the front shifted uncomfortably. Someone else studied their shoes like they held the secrets of the universe. But one person stepped up. Marcus turned and gestured toward Nathan. Nathan Cole, the youngest tech in this shop. The one who gets the worst assignments, the least recognition, the most grief. He's the only person who acted like a human being yesterday. Every eye in the room locked onto Nathan. He felt his face heat up but held his ground. As of today, Nathan is your new lead technician. Anyone who has a problem with that can speak to me directly, or you can collect your last paycheck from HR. Marcus scanned the crowd. This company was built on integrity, on treating people right. I've let that slip, and that's my fault. But starting today, we're getting back to basics. And if you can't handle that, there's the door. He pointed at the exit. Nobody moved. Good. Marcus straightened his jacket. Now get back to work. We've got cars to fix. The crowd dispersed slowly, mechanics drifting back to their bays with their heads down. A few glanced at Nathan, some with resentment, others with something that might have been respect. Jonas approached through the thinning crowd. "Lead technician," he said, grinning beneath his gray beard. "Not bad for a street rat." Nathan laughed despite himself. "Don't start. I'm serious. You earned this." Jonas clapped him on the shoulder. "Just don't let it go to your head." "Never." Jonas nodded toward the conference room where Vince was still talking with Marcus. "That biker, you really didn't know who he was?" "No idea." "Life's funny like that." Jonas's eyes twinkled. "Sometimes the person everyone else throws away turns out to be the most important person in the room." He walked back to his bay, leaving Nathan standing alone in the middle of the shop. A shop that 24 hours ago he had been fired from. A shop that somehow he was now helping to lead. His phone buzzed. Unknown number again. He answered. "Hello, Mr. Cole." A woman's voice. Young, tired but warm. "This is Sarah Morrison, Vince's daughter. My dad told me everything you did for him yesterday." Nathan's chest tightened. "Sarah, how are you feeling?" "Like I got hit by a truck, which basically I did." A weak laugh. "But I'm alive. The doctors say I'll walk again in a few weeks. All because my dad got to the hospital in time to authorize some emergency procedure." She paused. "Because of you. I just fixed a fuel line." "No, you gave my dad back to me." Her voice cracked. "You have no idea what that means. What he means to me." Nathan couldn't speak. His throat was too tight. "I want to meet you," Sarah continued. "When I'm out of this bed, I want to shake your hand and say thank you properly. Will you let me do that?" "Yeah," Nathan managed. "Yeah, I'd like that, and us." "Good." He could hear the smile in her voice. "And Nathan, welcome to the family." The line went dead. Nathan stood there for a long moment, phone pressed against his ear, trying to process everything that had happened. 24 hours ago, he was invisible. Now he had a promotion, a purpose, and something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Vince walked out of the conference room and crossed the floor toward him. "You okay?" the big biker asked. "Your daughter just called me." Vince's face softened. "Yeah, she told me she was going to. Stubborn as hell, that one. Gets it from her mother." He paused. She likes you. She doesn't even know me. She knows enough. Vince reached into his vest and pulled out a card, plain white with a phone number handwritten on the back. Listen, I know today was a lot, but I want you to have this. It's my direct line. Anything you need, anything you call me. Nathan took the card. You don't have to. I know I don't have to. Vince's eyes bored into his. I want to. What you did yesterday, that wasn't about reward. That wasn't about what you'd get in return. You helped me because it was right, because you saw a human being when everyone else saw a monster. He shook his head slowly. People like you are rare, Nathan. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Nathan pocketed this card. Thank you for everything. No, Vince gripped his shoulder firm and fatherly. Thank you. He turned and walked toward the exit. At the door, he paused and looked back. See you around, lead technician. Then he was gone. Nathan watched the door swing shut behind him. The bay was quieter now. Mechanics were working, actually working heads down, tools moving. The atmosphere felt different, cleaner somehow, like a wound that had finally been opened and drained. Nathan, he turned. Marcus Hendricks was standing behind him, hands in his pockets. Walk with me. They moved through the shop slowly, Marcus nodding at mechanics as they passed Nathan, trying to match his pace. I want to be honest with you, Marcus said quietly. What happened yesterday, Derek, the footage, all of it, it's going public. Nathan frowned. What do you mean? A customer recorded the whole thing, Vince getting turned away, you stepping up, Derek firing you. It's already on social media, 50,000 views and climbing. Nathan's stomach dropped. I didn't know anyone was filming. Neither did I, but it's on out there now. Marcus stopped walking. That means attention, media, people wanting to tell your story. I don't want attention. I just want to work. I know, and I respect that. Marcus met his eyes. But here's the thing, this video. It's making us look good. Not because of what Derek did, but because of what you did. People are sharing it with captions like, this is what real integrity looks like. And not all heroes wear capes. Nathan winced. That's embarrassing. Maybe, but it's also true. Marcus put a hand on his shoulder. I'm not going to force you into anything. No interviews, no press conferences, nothing you don't want. But I want you to know that what you did matters. It mattered to Vince, to Sarah, and it's going to matter to a lot of people who see that video and remember what it looks like when someone stands up. Nathan didn't know how to respond. For now, just focus on the job, Marcus continued. Learn the role, build your team, show these guys what leadership actually looks like. He smiled slightly. And try not to make me look like an idiot for promoting you. I'll do my best. That's all anyone can ask. Marcus walked away, disappearing into the back offices. Nathan stood in the middle of the bay, surrounded by the sounds of engines and tools and voices. His bay now, his team, his shop. Well, partly his. He took a deep breath and walked toward his old station. His toolbox was still there, right where he'd left it yesterday before everything fell apart. He ran his hand over the worn metal surface. 17 years of accumulated tools, everything Henry Wallace had taught him to use, everything that had carried him from the streets to this moment. Hey, Cole, he turned. 3 mechanics stood behind him, younger guys, mid-20s, fresh faces. He recognized them but didn't know their names. What's up? The one in front, tall red hair, nervous energy, stepped forward. We wanted to apologize for yesterday. Nathan raised an eyebrow. Apologize? We should have said something. When Derek was going off on that biker on you, we should have backed you up. He looked at his feet. We didn't, and that was wrong. The other 2 nodded, shame written on their faces. Nathan studied them for a long moment. What are your names? I'm Tyler. The redhead pointed to his companions. That's Marcus, no relation to the boss, and that's Dion. Tyler, Marcus, Dion. Nathan let the names settle. You want to know the truth, I'm not angry at you. Tyler blinked. You're not. No, I'm disappointed. There's a difference. Nathan leaned against his toolbox. I've been in your position. Too scared to speak up. Too worried about keeping my job. I get it. But here's the thing, staying quiet when something's wrong doesn't make you safe. It makes you complicit. The 3 exchanged glances. You can't change yesterday, Nathan continued, but you can change tomorrow. Next time you see something wrong, someone being mistreated, discriminated against, whatever, you speak up. You stand up, even if it costs you something, especially if it costs you something. That's what separates workers from leaders. Tyler nodded slowly. Yes, sir. Don't call me sir. I'm 32, not 60. Nathan almost smiled. Call me Nathan and get back to work. Those cars aren't going to fix themselves. They scattered. Nathan watched them go, something shifting in his chest. This was leadership, not titles or corner offices or pay raises, but moments like this. Teaching, guiding, showing people a better way. He could do this. He had to do this for himself, for Henry Wallace, for everyone who'd ever been told they weren't good enough. Not bad, Cole. Jonas was leaning against a nearby post, arms crossed, grinning. You were listening. Course I was. Old mechanics hear everything. Jonas pushed off the post. You handled that well. Most new leaders would have chewed them out, made enemies. You turned it into a teaching moment. I'm making this up as I go. Aren't we all? Jonas chuckled. By the way, Marcus the boss, Marcus pulled me aside earlier, said something about a review of my file. A raise and better hours possibly. Nathan nodded. I asked him to look into it. Jonas went quiet. His eyes glistened. You didn't have to do that. Yeah, I did. Nathan met his gaze. You came to my apartment last night, told me the truth when no one else would. You've been surviving in this place for 20 years, keeping your head down, doing good work that nobody acknowledges. You deserve better, Jonas. You've always deserved better. Well, Jonas looked away, blinking rapidly. Damn kid, he muttered, making an old man emotional. Get used to it. Jonas laughed, a real laugh, full and warm. I think I'm going to like working for you, Nathan Cole. Working with me, Nathan corrected. Not for me, we're a team now. Jonas extended his hand. Nathan shook it. Team, Jonas repeated. I like the sound of that. They stood there for a moment, two men from different generations, different backgrounds, different lives, but somehow improbably on the same side. Nathan's phone buzzed again. He pulled it out, expecting another unknown number. But this one he recognized, the area code anyway, Northwestern Memorial Hospital. He answered, Hello, Nathan Cole, a woman's voice. Professional, medical. That's me. This is Dr. Patricia Owens from Northwestern. I'm Sarah Morrison's attending physician. Her father Vince asked me to call you. Nathan's blood went cold. Is she okay? She's fine, better than fine, actually. Her recovery is progressing faster than expected. A pause. But she's asking for you, quite insistently. She wants to see you in person. Today, if possible. Today? I know it is short notice, but she's not the type to take no for an answer. Gets it from her father, apparently. Nathan looked around the shop. His shop. His first day as lead technician. I just started a new position. I don't know if I can, Mr. Cole. The doctor's voice softened. Sarah told me what you did for her father, what you sacrificed. I've worked in trauma medicine for 15 years, and I've learned that healing isn't just about bodies. It's about hearts, about gratitude, about connection. She paused. That girl needs to thank you. Let her. Nathan closed his eyes. What time, Jai? Visiting hours end at 8. Come whenever you can. I'll be there. Thank you, Mr. Cole. I'll tell her. The line went dead. Nathan stared at his phone. Everything okay? Jonas was watching him with concern. Sarah Morrison wants to meet me. Today. At the hospital. Jonas's face split into a grin. Then what are you standing here for? I just started this job. I can't just leave. Nathan? Jonas put a hand on his shoulder. I've been doing this for 20 years. I can handle things for a few hours. Go. Meet the girl you helped save. That's more important than any carburetor or brake pad. Nathan hesitated. Go, Jonas repeated, firmer this time. That's an order. You can't give me orders. I'm the lead technician. Fine. Then it's a strong suggestion from your most senior team member. Jonas grinned. Better. Nathan laughed despite himself. Yeah, better. He grabbed his jacket from the hook and headed for the door. At the exit, he paused and looked back at the shop. His team, his second chance. He pushed through the door and walked into the cold October afternoon. Somewhere across the city, a 16-year-old girl was waiting to say thank you, and Nathan Cole wasn't going to keep her waiting. The cab dropped Nathan outside Northwestern Memorial just as the sun was starting to sink behind the Chicago skyline. He stood on the sidewalk for a long moment, watching doctors and nurses stream in and out, families huddled together with coffee cups and worry lines etched into their faces. The weight of the day pressed down on him, the meeting with Marcus, the promotion, the video going viral, all of it swirling together into something he still couldn't quite believe was real. And now this, meeting the girl he'd helped save. His phone buzzed, a text from Vince. Room 412, fourth floor, she's waiting. Nathan took a deep breath and walked inside. The elevator ride felt endless. Each floor that ticked by gave him more time to think, more time to wonder what he was supposed to say. He wasn't a hero, he just fixed a fuel line. Anyone could have done it, but no one else had. The doors opened on the fourth floor. Nathan stepped out and followed the signs until he found room 412. The door was slightly open. He knocked anyway. "Come in," a girl's voice, weak but warm. Nathan pushed the door open and stepped inside. Sarah Morrison was sitting up in the hospital bed propped against a mountain of pillows. She was small, smaller than he'd expected, with dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, and her father's fierce eyes staring out from a pale, bruised face. An IV snaked into her arm and monitors beeped softly beside her, but she was smiling. "You're Nathan," she said. Not a question. "Yeah." He stood awkwardly near the door. "That's me." "Get over here." She waved him closer. "I don't bite. Well, not usually." Nathan moved to the chair beside her bed and sat down. Up close, he could see the damage cuts healing on her forehead, a cast wrapped around her left leg, bruises fading from purple to yellow along her jawline. "You look better than I expected," he said. "Liar." She laughed, then winced. "Don't make me laugh. Everything hurts." "Sorry." "Don't be sorry. I needed that." Her eyes studied his face with an intensity that reminded him of Vince. "So you're the guy who saved my dad?" "I fixed his motorcycle. That's not the same as—" "Stop." She held up her hand. "I've heard the whole story. From my dad, from Uncle Marcus, from pretty much everyone who's walked through that door in the last 24 hours. You didn't just fix a bike. You stood up when no one else would. You got fired for helping a stranger. That's not nothing." Nathan shifted uncomfortably. "I just did what anyone should have done." "But no one else did. That's the point." Sarah's voice softened. "My dad called me from the road." "Did he tell you that he was crying so hard I could barely understand him? He kept saying, 'I'm coming, baby. I'm coming.' Over and over." Her eyes glistened. "He made it here 7 minutes before I went into surgery. 7 minutes. If he'd been any later." She didn't finish. Didn't need to. "The doctor said I had internal bleeding," she continued quietly. "They needed his consent for an emergency procedure. My mom's gone long story, so he's my only legal guardian. If he hadn't made it in time, but he did. Because of you." Sarah reached out and grabbed Nathan's hand. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "I'm alive because a stranger decided I was worth losing his job over. Do you understand how that feels? Do you have any idea what that means to me?" Nathan's throat tightened. He couldn't speak. "My dad's not good with words," Sarah said. "He's all action, no talk. But I saw his face when he told me about you. I've never seen him look at anyone like that. Like you were some kind of angel that showed up exactly when he needed one. I'm no angel." "Maybe not, but you're close enough." She squeezed his hand. "Thank you, Nathan. From the bottom of my heart. Thank you for giving me back my dad." Nathan blinked hard, fighting the burn behind his eyes. "You're welcome." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of everything unsaid hanging between them. Then Sarah grinned. "So, tell me about yourself." "What?" "You saved my life. The least you can do is let me get to know you." She adjusted her pillow, settling in. "Where are you from? What's your story?" "My dad said you were homeless once. Is that true?" Nathan hesitated. This wasn't something he talked about. Ever. But something about Sarah, her directness, her warmth, the way she looked at him like he actually mattered, made him want to open up. Yeah, he said slowly. It's true. After my mom died, I had nowhere to go. Spent 2 years on the streets before someone gave me a chance. That someone was a mechanic, right? Henry Wallace. He owned a garage on the south side. Found me standing outside one day freezing and offered me $20 to sweep his floors. Nathan almost smiled. Turned out he just wanted an excuse to help me. He taught me everything I know. What happened to him? Heart attack, 3 years ago. The words still hurt. He was the closest thing I ever had to a father. Sarah's expression softened. I'm sorry. Me too. Nathan shrugged, trying to shake off the heaviness. But he gave me skills, a trade, something to build on. I wouldn't be here without him. Sounds like you've got a thing for people who give second chances. I guess I do. Good. Sarah's eyes sparkled with something Nathan couldn't quite read. Because I've got an idea, but we'll get to that later. Before Nathan could ask what she meant, the door swung open. Vince walked in carrying a paper bag that smelled like fast food and a cup of coffee big enough to drown in. He stopped when he saw Nathan and his weathered face broke into a smile. You made it. Wasn't going to miss it. Vince set the bag on the side table and pulled up a chair on the opposite side of Sarah's bed. She'd been interrogating you. Little bit. That's my girl. Vince ruffled Sarah's hair, always asking questions. Gets it from her mother, God rest her soul. Sarah rolled her eyes. Dad, don't start. What? I'm not starting anything. Vince looked at Nathan. Her mom was the same way. Couldn't just have a conversation, had to dig into your whole life story. Know everything about everyone. Sounds exhausting, Nathan said. It was wonderful. Vince's voice went soft. Best 15 years of my life. Before she got sick. The room went quiet. Sarah reached over and took her father's hand. Dad. I'm fine. Vince blinked rapidly. Just seeing you in this bed all banged up, it brings things back. Your mom spent 6 months in a place like this? Different hospital, same machines, same sounds. He shook his head. I can't lose you too, Sarah. I can't. You won't. Sarah squeezed his hand. I'm too stubborn to die, remember? Damn right you are. Nathan watched them, father and daughter, bound together by loss and love, and years of fighting the world side by side. It reminded him of his own mom, of everything he'd lost, and everything he'd never had. Nathan, Vince's voice pulled him back. I want to show you something. When Sarah's feeling better. Show me what? Vince hesitated, glancing at his daughter. Something passed between them, a silent conversation Nathan couldn't read. A project I've been working on, Vince finally said. Something that matters. Sarah knows about it, Marcus too, but I want you to see it for yourself. What kind of project? Patience. Vince's crooked smile returned. All in good time. For now, just know that what you did yesterday, it wasn't just about me or Sarah. It's going to lead to something bigger. Something important. Nathan frowned. You're being cryptic. I know, it's fun. Vince stood up, stretching his massive frame. I've got to make some calls. Insurance lawyers, all the fun stuff. Stay with her. Dad, I don't need a babysitter. Humor me. Vince kissed her forehead. I almost lost you. I'm allowed to be overprotective for at least a week. He walked out, leaving Nathan alone with Sarah again. He's dramatic, Sarah said. He's a father. Same thing, apparently. She shifted in her bed, wincing slightly. So, want to hear a secret? Nathan raised an eyebrow. Depends on the secret. It's about my dad, about what he really does. Sarah's voice dropped. You know, he used to be a Hell's Angel, right, like a real one, not just a guy who wears the jacket. I figured. What you probably don't know is why he left, or at least why he pulled back. Sarah's eyes went serious. It was because of my mom. When she got sick, he promised her he'd change, build something that helped people instead of, well, you know. I don't know anything about that life. Good, keep it that way. Sarah took a breath. My dad made mistakes, Nathan. A lot of them. When he was young, angry, stupid. But he spent the last 10 years trying to make up for it, building something good. The charity, Sarah blinked. He told you. No, Jonas did. The old mechanic at the shop. Said your dad runs some kind of program for veterans. It's more than that. Sarah's face lit up with something like pride. It's called Iron Redemption. He started it 8 years ago, right after my mom died. It's a nonprofit that teaches mechanical skills to veterans, homeless kids, anyone who needs a second chance. She paused. Kind of like someone gave you. Nathan's chest tightened. I didn't know that. Most people don't. My dad doesn't advertise it. He just does it quietly. Every weekend he's at the warehouse teaching kids how to fix engines, change tires, rebuild carburetors. He's helped over 200 people get jobs in the last 5 years. That's incredible. It is. Sarah's eyes locked onto his, and I want you to be part of it. Nathan froze. What? You heard me. Iron Redemption needs people like you. People who understand what it's like to have nothing and build yourself into something. People who know how to teach, how to connect, how to give second chances. She leaned forward, ignoring the pain it clearly caused. My dad's been looking for someone to help him expand the program. Someone who could eventually take over when he's too old to turn wrenches anymore. Sarah, I just got promoted yesterday. I'm not asking you to quit your job. I'm asking you to think about it. Visit the warehouse, see what we do, meet the people my dad has helped. Her voice softened. You changed my life in 15 minutes, Nathan. Imagine what you could do with more time. Nathan didn't know what to say. His whole life, he'd been focused on survival, getting through the day, making rent, keeping his head down. The idea of something bigger, something that mattered beyond his own existence, felt foreign, impossible, but also exciting. I'll think about it, he said. That's all I ask. Sarah smiled and leaned back against her pillows. Now tell me more about this shop you're running. I hear you've got a team of mechanics who don't know whether to respect you or fear you. Nathan laughed. It's my first day. I barely know what I'm doing. Welcome to leadership. They talked for another hour. About the shop, about Nathan's plans, about Sarah's recovery, and her own dreams of studying engineering when she was healed. She was smart, sharper than most adults Nathan knew, and funny in a way that caught him off guard. She made him laugh more than he had in months. By the time Vince came back, the sun had fully set outside the window. Still here? Vince looked pleased. Good, that means she likes you. Dad, what? It's true, you don't talk to people you don't like. You just stare at them until they leave. I don't do that. You absolutely do that. Ask any of my biker friends. Nathan stood up, suddenly aware of how late it had gotten. I should go, let you rest. Come back tomorrow, Sarah asked. I mean, if you're not too busy being a big important lead technician. I'll try. Don't try, do. She grinned. That's what you told those mechanics today, right? Jonas texted me the whole speech. Very inspiring. Jonas texted you. He's my honorary uncle. Didn't he mention that? Nathan looked at Vince, bewildered. How many connections does your family have? More than you'd think. Vince clapped him on the shoulder. Come on, I'll walk you out. They left Sarah's room and walked down the hospital corridor in silence. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Nurses moved past them, focused on patients and charts and the 1,000 small emergencies that made up their nights. She likes you, Vince said finally. So you mentioned. No, I mean, she really likes you. That's rare. Vince glanced at him. Sarah doesn't warm up to people easily. After her mom died, she closed off, built walls, even with me sometimes. He paused. But you got through somehow. I didn't do anything special. You treated her like a person, not a victim, not a project, just a person. Vince stopped walking. That matters more than you know. They stood near the elevator bank, the sounds of the hospital washing over them. She told me about Iron Redemption, Nathan said. Vince nodded slowly. Figured she would. Why didn't you mention it? Because I wanted you to hear it from her. Vince's eyes held a depth Nathan hadn't seen before. She believes in that program more than I do sometimes. It's her mother's legacy as much as mine. Lisa, my wife, she was the one who pushed me to start it. Even when she was dying, she made me promise to keep going. That's beautiful. It's hard. Vince's voice roughened. Every weekend I look at those kids homeless, broken, lost, and I see myself at their age. I see everything I almost became, the life I almost threw away. He shook his head. You know what saved me, Nathan love. Lisa's love, Sarah's love, having something to fight for beyond my own anger. I never had that. I know. Vince met his eyes. That's why I think you understand this work better than most. You know what it's like to have nothing, to be nothing, and you know what it takes to climb out. Nathan's throat tightened. Sarah wants me to visit the warehouse. I want that too, but only if you want it. Vince put a hand on his shoulder. No pressure, no expectations. Just come see what we do. Meet the people. If it's not for you, no hard feelings. But if it is, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. The elevator doors opened. Nathan stepped inside and turned around. Saturday, he said. I'll come Saturday. Vince's weathered face broke into a smile. I'll be there. The doors closed. Nathan rode down alone, his mind racing with everything that had happened. The promotion, Sarah, iron redemption, a future he'd never imagined. When he stepped outside, the cold October air hit him like a slap. He stood on the sidewalk, looking up at the stars that had somehow appeared while he was inside. His phone buzzed, a text from a number he didn't recognize. Enjoying your 15 minutes of fame, hero. Nathan frowned. What the hell, another text came through. You think you won? You think getting me fired makes you special? Watch your back, Cole. This isn't over. Derek. Nathan's blood went cold. A third text. You took everything from me. I'm going to return the favor. Nathan stared at the screen, his heart pounding. He thought about calling the police, about telling Marcus, about 100 different responses. Instead, he typed back 2 words. Try it. He pocketed his phone and started walking. Whatever Derek was planning, Nathan wasn't going to run, wasn't going to hide. He'd spent too many years being invisible, letting people push him around, accepting abuse, because he was afraid of losing what little he had. Not anymore. He'd stood up for a stranger, and it had changed his life. He could stand up for himself too. The walk home took longer than usual. Nathan's mind was a storm of thoughts and emotions. Derek's threats mixing with Sarah's smile, Vince's words echoing alongside the memory of his mother's voice. You did right, baby. You always do right. He was almost to his apartment building when he noticed the car. Black sedan, tinted windows, parked across the street. It hadn't been there this morning. Nathan kept walking, forcing himself not to look directly at it. His heart hammered in his chest. Derek's text echoed in his mind. Watch your back, Cole. He reached his building and climbed the stairs quickly, keys already in his hand. At his door, he paused and glanced out the window at the end of the hall. The black sedan was still there, and now there was someone standing beside it. A figure in a dark coat face hidden by shadows looking up at his building. Nathan's stomach dropped. This wasn't over, not even close. He went inside, locked the door behind him, and leaned against it, breathing hard. His phone buzzed again. He almost didn't look, almost threw the damn thing across the room. But it wasn't Derek this time. It was Sarah. My dad just told me about the text. Don't worry, we've got your back, all of us. Get some sleep. You're going to need your strength for what's coming. Nathan read the message 3 times. We've got your back, all of us. He didn't know what that meant, but for the first time in his life, he wasn't facing the storm alone. He walked to the window and looked down at the street. The black sedan was gone, but in its place, parked directly in front of his building, was a motorcycle, a Harley, chrome gleaming under the streetlights. And sitting on it, arms crossed, watching his window, was a man in a Hells Angels jacket. Not Vince, someone else, someone keeping watch. Nathan's phone buzzed one more time. A text from Vince. That's Bruno. He'll be there all night. Anyone gives you trouble, he'll handle it. Sleep well, brother. You're one of us now. Nathan stared at the message. One of us. He'd walked into work yesterday morning as nobody. A ghost. Invisible. Now he had a promotion, a purpose, a family he never expected, and enemies he'd never asked for. He set the phone down and walked to his bed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new battles, new chances to prove who he really was. But tonight, for the first time in 15 years, Nathan Cole felt something he'd almost forgotten was possible. He felt safe. Saturday morning arrived cold and gray, the kind of Chicago weather that seeped into your bones and stayed there. Nathan had barely slept. Derek's threats echoed in his mind every time he closed his eyes, mixing with images of black sedans and shadowy figures. But when he looked out his window at 6 a.m., Bruno was still there. Different motorcycles, same leather jacket, same watchful presence. True to his word. Nathan showered dressed in his cleanest jeans and a flannel shirt and headed downstairs. Bruno nodded as he approached. "Sleep okay?" The biker's voice was gravel and smoke. "Better than I expected. Thanks for staying." "Vince's orders." Bruno cracked his neck. "Anyone bother you?" "No, quiet night." "Good." Bruno swung his leg over his Harley. "Follow me. Vince is waiting at the warehouse." Nathan hesitated. "I was going to take a cab." "No cabs. Not until we know what Derek's planning." Bruno kicked the engine to life. "You ride, I can. Then get on." Nathan climbed onto the back of the Harley. The engine roared beneath him, vibrating through his chest like a second heartbeat. Bruno pulled into traffic without another word, weaving through Saturday morning streets with the confidence of a man who'd been riding for decades. 20 minutes later, they pulled up outside a massive warehouse on the south side. The building looked ancient, brick walls covered in faded graffiti windows, clouded with decades of grime. But the parking lot was full of motorcycles, and Nathan could hear the clang of tools and the hum of voices from inside. "This is it," Bruno said. "Iron Redemption, Vince's baby." Nathan climbed off the bike and stared at the building. "It's bigger than I expected. Wait till you see inside." They walked through a side door and Nathan stopped in his tracks. The warehouse had been transformed. What must have once been empty space was now a fully functional garage, workbenches lined with tools, cars, and motorcycles in various states of repair, and everywhere people. Young people, old people, men and women of every background imaginable. All of them working, learning, building. And in the center of it all stood Vince Morrison, sleeves rolled up, grease on his hands, teaching a teenager how to change a tire. "Nathan." Vince's face lit up when he spotted him. He wiped his hands on a rag and crossed the floor in 3 massive strides. "You made it." "Said I would." "People say a lot of things." Vince clapped him on the shoulder. "Come on, let me show you around." They walked through the warehouse, Vince pointing out different stations. "That's the engine bay, basic repair and maintenance. Over there is bodywork. Back a corner is electrical systems. That's the hardest one to learn, but pays the best when you're done." "How many people do you have here?" "Right now, about 40 regulars. Some come every day, some just on weekends. We've graduated over 200 since we started." Vince's voice swelled with pride. "Every single one of them has a job now. Good jobs, supporting themselves, their families." Nathan watched a young woman, maybe 19, carefully removing a carburetor under the guidance of an older mechanic. Her face was a mask of concentration, tongue poking out the corner of her mouth. "Who is she?" "That's Maya. Showed up 18 months ago, fresh out of foster care. Couldn't change a tire, didn't know a wrench from a socket." "Now," Vince smiled, "she's our best engine tech. Got 3 job offers last month. Chose the one with the best benefits." "That's incredible." "That's the point." Vince turned to face him. "Everyone here has a story, Nathan. Everyone's been told they're not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy of a chance. We prove them wrong every single day." Nathan felt something stir in his chest, something that had been dormant for years. Hope. "Vince," a voice called from across the warehouse. "Got a problem over here." Vince saw. "Duty calls. Look around, talk to people. I'll catch up with you in a bit." He walked off, leaving Nathan standing alone in the middle of organized chaos. Nathan wandered through the warehouse, watching, listening. He stopped near a workbench where a kid, couldn't be more than 17, was struggling with a stubborn bolt. "Need a hand?" The kid looked up, suspicious, guarded. "Who are you, Keith?" "Nathan Cole, friend of Vince's." "Never seen you before." "First time here." Nathan nodded toward the bolt. "That's gonna strip if you keep forcing it. Try some penetrating oil, let it sit for 5 minutes. The kid frowned. "How do you know?" "Because I made the same mistake about 1,000 times before someone taught me better." Nathan grabbed a can of oil from the bench and handed it over. "Trust me." The kid hesitated, then sprayed the bolt. "I'm Marcus. Well, everyone calls me Junior." "Nathan, pleasure." "You a mechanic. Lead technician at Hendricks Auto. At least I am now." Nathan leaned against the bench. "What about you?" How'd you end up here? Junior's expression darkened. Long story. I've got time. The kid was quiet for a moment. Then slowly the words started coming. My dad's in prison. Armed robbery. Mom overdosed 2 years ago. I was living with my grandmother, but she got sick. Couldn't take care of me anymore. Ended up in a group home. Junior stared at his hands. I was on track to end up just like my old man. Angry at everything. Fighting all the time. Then someone told me about this place. Vince, one of his guys, saw me getting into it with some punks outside a gas station. Instead of calling the cops, he gave me a card. Said if I wanted to learn something useful, show up Saturday morning. Junior almost smiled. That was 8 months ago. Haven't missed a weekend since. Nathan nodded slowly. You're good with your hands, I can tell. Yeah, that engine you're working on, you've done most of the hard stuff already. The bolt's the easy part. Junior looked at the engine, then back at Nathan. Something shifted in his eyes. Respect maybe, or recognition. Vince talks about you, Junior said. Nathan blinked. He does. Yeah, says you're the real deal, says you saved his daughter's life. I fixed a fuel line, that's it. That's not how he tells it. Junior grabbed a wrench and went back to work on the bolt gently this time, letting the oil do its job. He says you're one of those rare people who does the right thing even when it costs you. Says the world needs more people like that. Nathan didn't know how to respond. There we go, Junior grinned as the bolt finally came loose. You were right, 5 minutes made all the difference. Usually does. Nathan straightened up. Keep at it, Junior. You're gonna be great. He walked away, leaving the kid beaming behind him. The next few hours passed in a blur. Nathan moved from station to station, talking to volunteers, watching lessons, occasionally jumping in to help with tricky repairs. Every person he met had a story: homelessness, addiction, prison abuse, and every single one of them was fighting to build something better. By noon, he understood why Sarah had wanted him to come here. This wasn't just a charity, it was a lifeline. What do you think? Nathan turned. Vince had appeared beside him, coffee in hand. I think this is the most important thing I've ever seen. Vince nodded slowly. It's my wife's legacy. Lisa believed that everyone deserved a second chance. Didn't matter what you'd done, where you came from. If you were willing to work, she was willing to teach. His voice roughened. When she died, I promised her I'd keep this going. No matter what. You've built something incredible here. I've tried. Vince handed him a cup of coffee. But I can't do it forever. My knees are shot, my back's worse, and Sarah keeps threatening to lock me in the house if I don't slow down. Nathan took the coffee. What are you saying? I'm saying I need help. Vince met his eyes. Real help. Someone who understands this work. Someone who can connect with these kids because they've been where these kids are. He paused. Someone like you. Nathan's heart pounded. Vince, I just started my new job. I'm not asking you to quit. I'm asking you to consider. Maybe volunteer on weekends. Maybe take on a few mentees. Start small, see how it feels. Vince's weathered face was earnest. You've got a gift, Nathan. I saw it the moment you stepped up to help me. You see people, really see them. That's rarer than you know. Before Nathan could respond, his phone buzzed. Then it buzzed again. And again. He pulled it out, frowning at the screen. 15 notifications. 20. 30. What the hell? He opened the first one. A news alert. Viral video: mechanic fired for helping Hell's Angel reaches 5 million views. Internet rallies behind mysterious hero. Nathan's blood went cold. 5 million views. He scrolled through the notifications. News outlets, social media tags, interview requests. His name, his full name, was everywhere. Vince was watching him with concern. What's wrong? The video. It's everywhere. Nathan showed him the screen. 5 million people have watched me get fired. Vince took the phone and studied it for a long moment. Then unexpectedly he laughed. This is bad, Vince. No, this is perfect. Vince handed the phone back. 5 million people just watched someone stand up for what's right. 5 million people saw a man help a stranger when everyone else looked away. That's not bad, Nathan. That's a message. I didn't ask for this. The best messages are never planned. Vince put a hand on his shoulder. This is going to change things. For you, for the shop, for this program, I can feel it. Nathan wanted to argue, but his phone was already buzzing again. This time a call, Marcus Hendricks, he answered. Sir, do you... Nathan, Marcus's voice was tense. Have you seen the news? Just found out? We need to talk. Something's happened. A pause. Can you get to the shop now? Nathan's stomach dropped. What's going on? Just get here, fast. The line went dead. Nathan looked at Vince. I have to go. Something's wrong. Bruno will take you. Vince was already signaling across the warehouse. Whatever it is, handle it. We'll talk more later. Nathan ran. The ride back to Hendricks' auto took 15 minutes. Bruno pushed the Harley hard, weaving through traffic with reckless precision. Nathan held on tight, mind, racing through possibilities. What could be so urgent? When they pulled into the parking lot, Nathan's heart stopped. Police cars, 3 of them, lights flashing, and standing near the entrance, hands cuffed behind his back, face twisted with rage, Derek Lawson. Nathan jumped off the bike and ran toward the crowd. Jonas spotted him first. Nathan, thank God you're here. What happened? Why are the cops here? Jonas's face was grim. Derek broke in last night. Security cameras caught everything. He trashed the place, Nathan. Spray paint on the walls, tools destroyed, cars damaged. He paused. And he left a message. What message? Jonas pointed toward the service bay. Nathan walked through the crowd, police officers stepping aside as he approached. His eyes found the wall. Spray painted in massive red letters, Cole did this. Cole is a fraud. Cole will pay. His blood turned to ice. He tried to frame you. Marcus appeared beside him, face pale with fury. Set up the break-in to look like you did it. Left evidence pointing to you, your name badge, some of your tools. But I was at the warehouse. People saw me. I know. Bruno confirmed your alibi. Plus the security footage shows Derek's face clear as day. Marcus shook his head. He's lost his mind, Nathan. Completely snapped. Nathan watched as 2 officers walked Derek toward a squad car. Their eyes met. Derek's face contorted into something animal, something broken. This isn't over, he screamed, struggling against the cuffs. You hear me, Cole? This isn't over. You ruined my life. I'm going to ruin yours. The officers shoved him into the back seat. The door slammed shut. Nathan stood frozen, Derek's words ringing in his ears. Hey! Jonas gripped his arm. You okay? No. Nathan's voice was barely a whisper. No, I'm not okay. He's going to prison, Nathan. Breaking and entering, vandalism, attempted framing. That's serious time. I know. So why do you look like that? Nathan watched the police car pull away, Derek's face visible through the rear window, still screaming, still raging. Because I pushed him to this. Nathan's throat tightened. I got him fired. I took his job, his reputation, his whole identity. And now he's destroyed. Nathan, listen to me. Jonas turned him around, forcing eye contact. Derek Lawson was a bully, a bigot, and a coward long before you came along. What happened to him is the result of his own choices, his own actions. You didn't destroy him. He destroyed himself. But no buts. Jonas's voice was firm. You stood up for someone who needed help. You did the right thing. Everything that followed the promotion, the attention, all of it came from that one moment of decency. Derek's choices came from spite and hatred. He squeezed Nathan's shoulder. Those are not the same thing. They will never be the same thing. Nathan looked at the graffiti on the wall, his name twisted into an accusation. We'll paint over it, Marcus said quietly. By tomorrow it'll be gone. Nobody will remember. But Nathan would remember. He'd remember that doing the right thing didn't mean everyone would love you. It didn't mean life got easier. Sometimes it meant making enemies. Sometimes it meant standing alone. Sir, a police officer approached with a notepad. We need a statement from Mr. Cole. Nathan took a deep breath. Of course. He spent the next hour answering questions, recounting Derek's threats, confirming his alibi. The officers were professional, thorough, sympathetic. By the time they finished, the sun was starting to set. We'll be in touch, the lead officer said. Mr. Lawson will be charged with multiple felonies. Given the evidence, I don't expect he'll see the outside of a cell for quite a while. Thank you. The police left. The crowd dispersed. Nathan stood alone in the empty parking lot, staring at the garage that had been his home for 3 years. His phone buzzed, a text from Sarah. Dad told me what happened. Are you okay? Nathan typed back. Honestly, I don't know. A pause, then, come to the hospital. I'm being discharged tomorrow, but I'm still here tonight. We can talk. It's late, visiting hours. I'm Vince Morrison's daughter. Rules don't apply to me. Despite everything, Nathan smiled. On my way. The hospital room was quieter than before. Sarah was sitting up in bed, looking stronger, more color in her cheeks. She smiled when Nathan walked in. You look like hell. Thanks. Sit. She patted the chair beside her bed. Talk to me. Nathan sat, and then for reasons he couldn't explain, everything came pouring out. Derek's threats, the break-in, the graffiti, the guilt he felt for pushing a man to destruction. Sarah listened without interrupting. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Can I tell you something my mom used to say? Nathan nodded. She used to say that the measure of a person isn't what happens to them. It's how they respond. Sarah's voice was soft but steady. Derek chose to respond to losing his job with hatred, with revenge, with destruction. You chose to respond to hardship by helping others, by standing up, by building something. I don't feel like I've built anything. You've built more than you know. Sarah reached out and took his hand. Junior, that kid at the warehouse, my dad says he hasn't stopped talking about you since you left. Says he wants to be a mechanic like Nathan Cole. Nathan's throat tightened. He said that those are his words, not my dad's. Sarah squeezed his hand. You met that kid for 20 minutes and changed his life. That's not nothing, Nathan. That's everything. Tears burned behind Nathan's eyes. He blinked them back. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. Any of it. The promotion, the attention, the responsibility. I've spent my whole life trying to be invisible. Now everyone's watching. Then let them watch. Sarah's eyes blazed with conviction. Let them see what it looks like when a good person gets the recognition they deserve. Let them see that doing the right thing matters, that standing up matters. She leaned forward. The world is full of Derek's Nathan, people who tear others down because they're scared and broken and angry. But it's also full of people waiting for someone to show them a different way. That's what you can be. Not a hero, not a saint, just a man who proves that decency still exists. Nathan stared at her, 16 years old, lying in a hospital bed with a broken leg and healing bruises. And somehow she was the strongest person he'd ever met. When did you get so wise? He asked. Cancer. Sarah's smile faltered slightly. Watching my mom die taught me a lot about what matters. What doesn't? She shrugged. Life's too short to waste on regret, on fear, on anything that doesn't make the world a little bit better. Nathan didn't have words. He just held her hand and let the silence say what he couldn't. The door opened. Vince walked in carrying bags of takeout. Thought you two might be hungry. Dad, it's 9 p.m. How did you get food in here? I know people. Vince winked at Nathan. Plus the nurses love me. They ate together, hospital beds and plastic chairs, lukewarm Chinese food and cheap napkins. It was nothing like a real family dinner. It was perfect. Around 10 p.m., Vince's phone rang. He stepped out to answer it, and Nathan could hear his voice in the hallway, low and intense. When he came back, his expression had changed. What's wrong? Sarah asked. Vince hesitated, then he looked at Nathan. That was Marcus. The video, the one of you getting fired, it just hit 10 million views. Nathan's stomach dropped. 10 million. CNN wants an interview. So does ABC, NBC, Fox, every major network. Vince sat down heavily. And there was something else. A petition started online, people demanding Hendricks Auto apologize publicly and donate to charity. It's got 100,000 signatures already. Nathan felt the walls closing in. This is insane. This is opportunity. Vince leaned forward. Marcus wants to do a press conference. Not to defend the company, to champion what you did. To announce a partnership with Iron Redemption. To turn this whole mess into something meaningful. I don't want to be on TV. I know, but think about what it could mean. Vince's eyes were intense. 10 million people watched you do the right thing. Imagine if those same people learned about Iron Redemption. about the kids we help, the lives we change. That kind of exposure could fund this program for years. Nathan looked at Sarah. She nodded slowly. It's your choice, she said. But sometimes the best way to help is to let people see you helping. Nathan closed his eyes. 5 days ago, he was invisible. A nobody. A ghost. Now 10 million people knew his name. He'd spent his whole life avoiding the spotlight, staying small, staying safe. But safety hadn't gotten him anywhere. Playing small hadn't built anything. Maybe it was time to step into the light. Okay, he said finally. Tell Marcus I'll do it. Vince's face broke into a smile. You sure? No. Nathan met his eyes. But I'm doing it anyway. Sarah squeezed his hand. That's what courage looks like, she said. Doing the right thing even when you're scared. Nathan squeezed back. Outside the window, the city glittered with a million lights. Somewhere out there, 10 million people were watching his story unfold. Tomorrow, he would face the cameras, face the questions, face whatever came next. But tonight, surrounded by people who believed in him, Nathan Cole felt something he hadn't felt in 15 years. He felt ready. The press conference was scheduled for Monday at noon. Nathan spent Sunday pacing his apartment, rehearsing answers to questions he hoped no one would ask, and staring at his phone every time it buzzed with another interview request. By midnight, he'd turned down 17 offers and accepted only one, a local Chicago station that Marcus had personally vetted. Keep it simple, Marcus had advised. Tell the truth. Don't try to be a hero. Just be yourself. Easy for him to say. Nathan barely slept. When his alarm went off at 6 a.m., he felt like he'd been hit by a truck. He showered, shaved, and put on the suit Marcus had sent over, charcoal gray, perfectly fitted, more expensive than anything Nathan had ever worn in his life. He looked at himself in the mirror. Same face, same tired eyes, same brown hair that never quite cooperated. But something was different, something in the way he held himself, the way he met his own gaze. He wasn't invisible anymore. His phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. You've got this. Remember, just be Nathan. That's enough. He typed back. What if Nathan isn't enough? Her response came immediately. Then the rest of us will pick up the slack. That's what family does. Family. The word hit him like a punch to the chest. He pocketed the phone and headed out. Bruno was waiting downstairs as always. But today, he wasn't alone. 3 other bikers flanked him, massive men in Hell's Angels leather arms, crossed faces unreadable. Escort, Nathan asked. Vince's orders. Bruno handed him a helmet. Can't have our star witness getting lost on the way to his big debut. I'm not a star anything. Tell that to the 20 million people who've watched your video. 20 million. The number had doubled overnight. Nathan climbed onto the back of Bruno's Harley, and the convoy roared toward downtown. The press conference was being held at Hendricks Auto's corporate headquarters, a sleek glass building that Nathan had never set foot in before. When they pulled up, his stomach dropped. Cameras, dozens of them. Reporters crowded behind barricades shouting questions before he even got off the bike. Photographers jostled for position, flashes popping like lightning. Mr. Cole Nathan over here. How does it feel to be a viral sensation? What do you say to people calling you a hero? Nathan's legs felt like concrete. He couldn't move. Bruno leaned back. Breathe, 1 foot in front of the other. We're right behind you. Nathan took a breath, then another. Then he walked. The crowd parted as he approached the entrance, flanked by 4 Hell's Angels who looked ready to throw down with anyone who got too close. Security guards held open the doors, and Nathan stepped inside. The lobby was chaos. Corporate executives, PR people, camera crews setting up equipment. In the middle of it all stood Marcus Hendricks, talking rapidly into his phone while simultaneously directing traffic with his free hand. He spotted Nathan and ended the call immediately. You made it. Marcus crossed the floor and shook his hand. How are you feeling? Terrified. Good. That means you're taking it seriously. Marcus guided him toward a side room. We've got about 20 minutes before we go live. Sarah and Vince are already here. They wanted to see you first. The side room was small and quiet, a stark contrast to the madness outside. Sarah sat in a wheelchair, her first time out of the hospital bed, with Vince standing behind her, hands on her shoulders. She was beaming. Look at you, she said. All cleaned up. I barely recognized you. Funny. Nathan managed a weak smile. I barely recognized myself. Vince stepped forward and pulled Nathan into a bear hug. Tight, warm, fatherly. You're going to do great, he said. Just speak from the heart. Everything else will follow. What if I mess up? Then you mess up. Vince pulled back, gripping Nathan's shoulders. Nobody's expecting perfection. They're expecting truth. And truth doesn't need to be polished. A knock at the door. A young woman with a headset poked her head in. 5 minutes, Mr. Cole. Nathan's heart slammed against his ribs. I'll be right there. The woman disappeared. Nathan turned back to Sarah and Vince. Thank you, he said, for everything, for believing in me when you had no reason to, for giving me a chance. You gave yourself a chance, Sarah said softly. We just showed up to watch. Vince nodded. Now go out there and show the world who Nathan Cole really is. Nathan walked out of the room and into the spotlight. The press conference stage was blinding. Lights everywhere, cameras pointed at him like weapons. A long table with microphones sat at the front, 3 chairs behind it. Marcus took the center seat. Nathan sat to his right. To his left sat someone Nathan hadn't expected. Jonas. The old mechanic cleaned up well, hair combed, beard, trimmed, wearing a pressed shirt that looked brand new. What are you doing here? Nathan whispered. Marcus asked me to speak. Jonas's eyes twinkled. Thought they needed a witness, someone who saw everything firsthand. Before Nathan could respond, Marcus leaned into his microphone. Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. My name is Marcus Hendricks, CEO of Hendricks Auto. I'm here today to address the viral video that has captured the attention of millions around the world. The room went silent. Every camera focused. Every pen hovered over notepads. 6 days ago, my brother-in-law, Vincent Morrison, walked into one of our shops in desperate need of help. His daughter had been in a serious accident. She was in surgery. He needed to reach her before it was too late. Marcus's voice was steady but heavy with emotion. What happened next is something I will never forget and something I will never forgive. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. My brother-in-law was turned away, mocked, threatened with police, by my own employees, in my own shop. Marcus's jaw tightened. He was judged not by his character, but by his appearance, his tattoos, his jacket, the assumptions people made about who he was based on how he looked. Cameras clicked. Reporters scribbled furiously. But one person saw differently. Marcus turned to Nathan. Nathan Cole, a mechanic who had worked at that shop for 3 years. A man who had been overlooked, undervalued, and mistreated by the very people who should have recognized his talent. Nathan didn't see a criminal or a threat. He saw a father, a human being in crisis, and he acted. Nathan felt every eye in the room lock onto him. Nathan fixed my brother-in-law's motorcycle in 15 minutes. He got him to the hospital in time to authorize emergency surgery. Because of Nathan's actions, my niece is alive today. Marcus's voice cracked slightly, and for that act of compassion, Nathan was fired on the spot. A murmur rippled through the crowd. The manager who fired him has since been terminated and is now facing multiple felony charges after attempting to frame Nathan for vandalism. Marcus straightened. But today isn't about punishment. It's about recognition. It's about showing the world what true character looks like. He turned to Nathan. Nathan, would you like to say a few words? Nathan's throat went dry. 20 million people had watched the video. How many were watching now? He leaned into the microphone. I'm not good at speeches, he began. I'm a mechanic. I fix things. That's what I know how to do. A few reporters smiled. The tension in the room eased slightly. 6 days ago, a man walked into our shop asking for help. He was scared, desperate. His daughter was dying, and he just needed anyone to give him a chance. Nathan paused. Everyone else saw his jacket, his tattoos, the way he looked. They decided who he was before he said a single word. His voice strengthened. I didn't see a criminal. I saw my mother. The room went completely still. When I was 17, my mom got sick. Cancer. She died 3 weeks after the diagnosis. I had nowhere to go, no family, no money, nothing. Nathan's eyes burned, but he kept going. I spent 2 years on the streets, sleeping in shelters, begging for change, watching people look right through me like I wasn't even there. He could feel Sarah's presence somewhere in the room, drawing strength from it. One day, a man named Henry Wallace saw me standing outside his garage. I was dirty, hungry, lost. He could have called the coast, could have told me to move along. Instead, he offered me $20 to sweep his floors. Nathan's voice thickened. That one act of kindness changed my entire life. He taught me everything I know, gave me a purpose, a future. He looked directly into the closest camera. Henry died 3 years ago, but I carry him with me every day. And when I saw that biker standing in our shop begging for help while everyone turned away, I heard Henry's voice in my head. Everyone deserves a chance, Nathan. Everyone. He took a breath. I didn't help Vince Morrison because I wanted attention. I didn't do it because I expected a reward. I did it because it was right, because someone did the same for me once, because that's who I want to be. Silence. Then from somewhere into the back of the room, someone started clapping. Others joined. The applause spread like wildfire until the entire room was on its feet, cameras flashing, reporters as abandoning their professional detachment to participate in the moment. Nathan sat frozen, overwhelmed. Jonas leaned over and whispered, "Told you, truth doesn't need polish." Marcus let the applause continue for a full minute before raising his hand. "Thank you, Nathan." He turned back to the crowd. Which brings me to our announcement. Hendricks Auto is proud to announce a formal partnership with Iron Redemption, a nonprofit organization founded by Vincent Morrison that teaches mechanical skills to veterans, homeless youth, and anyone seeking a second chance. Gasps rippled through the room. We will be donating $1 million to Iron Redemption over the next 3 years. Additionally, we are establishing the Nathan Cole Scholarship Fund, which will provide full apprenticeships to graduates of the Iron Redemption program. Marcus smiled, and I'm pleased to announce that Nathan Cole has agreed to serve as the program's director of training, working alongside Vince Morrison to expand its reach and impact. Nathan's head snapped toward Marcus. "Wait, what?" More applause, more cameras flashing. Marcus leaned over. "Surprise, we finalized it this morning. Vince wanted to tell you himself, but we ran out of time. I didn't agree to." "You agreed to help. This is helping." Marcus's eyes were warm. "You can keep your lead technician position too. We'll work out the schedule, but this is where you belong, Nathan. This is your purpose." Nathan looked out at the crowd, at the cameras broadcasting his face to millions of people around the world. A week ago, he'd been invisible. Now he was being asked to lead. The questions came fast after that. "Nathan, how does it feel to go from fired to famous in less than a week?" "Surreal," he answered honestly. "I still don't fully believe it's real." "Do you have any message for Derek Lawson?" Nathan considered the question carefully. "I hope he gets the help he needs. Anger like that doesn't come from nowhere. Something broke inside him a long time ago. I hope he finds a way to fix it." "What would you say to people who think the Hells Angels are dangerous criminals?" "I'd say don't judge a book by its cover." Nathan glanced toward the back of the room where Vince and Sarah were watching. The man everyone was afraid of that day, he runs a nonprofit that's helped over 200 people rebuild their lives. His daughter is one of the kindest, smartest people I've ever met. You can't know someone's heart by looking at their clothes. "What's next for you, Nathan?" He smiled. "Honestly, I have no idea. A week ago, my biggest worry was making rent. Now I'm sitting here talking to cameras about scholarships and partnerships." He shook his head. "But whatever comes next, I know one thing for sure, I'm not going to waste this chance. Too many people believed in me for me to let them down." The press conference ended an hour later. Nathan walked off the stage on shaking legs, his mind spinning with everything that had just happened. Vince was waiting in the hallway. "Director of training," Nathan said. "You could have warned me." "Where's the fun in that?" Vince grinned. "Besides, you should have seen your face." "Priceless." "I'm not qualified for this." "You're more qualified than anyone I know." Vince's expression turned serious. "Nathan, I've been doing this for 8 years, watching kids come through those doors, broken and scared, looking for someone to believe in them. You know what they need more than anything, not skills, not tools. They need to see that someone like them made it, someone who started where they started and built something real. I'm just a mechanic. You're proof that it's possible." Vince put a hand on his shoulder. That's worth more than 100 training manuals. Sarah wheeled up beside them, eyes bright with excitement. You were amazing, she said. I mean, I knew you would be, but still, amazing. I almost threw up twice. But you didn't, she grinned. That's character. Nathan laughed despite himself. Come on, Vince said. There's one more thing I want to show you. They drove to the warehouse, Sarah in a van with a wheelchair lift, Nathan on the back of Bruno's Harley, Vince leading the way on his own bike. When they arrived, something was different. The parking lot was packed. Not just motorcycles, cars, trucks, vans. People streaming toward the entrance like it was a concert or a festival. What is this? Nathan asked. Vince just smiled. You'll see. They walked inside and Nathan stopped dead. The warehouse was transformed. Banners hung from the rafters, "Welcome Nathan Cole," and "Thank you for believing," an Iron Redemption family. Tables lined the walls loaded with food. Music played from somewhere. And everywhere people. Hundreds of them. Mechanics Nathan had worked with at Hendricks Auto. Kids from the Iron Redemption program. Hell's Angels bikers standing shoulder to shoulder with corporate executives. Jonas near the coffee station laughing with Marcus Hendricks like they'd known each other for years. Surprise. Sarah's voice was soft beside him. We've been planning this all week. I don't understand. It's a party, dummy. She laughed. For you, because you changed everything. Nathan's throat closed up. His eyes burned. I don't deserve. Stop. Vince stepped in front of him. Stop saying you don't deserve things. Stop minimizing what you did. You stood up when no one else would. You risked everything for a stranger. And because of that, my daughter is alive. This program is funded for 3 years, and hundreds of people are going to get chances they never would have had otherwise. His voice broke slightly. You deserve this, Nathan. You deserve all of it. So stop fighting and just accept it, please. Nathan looked around the warehouse. At the faces, some familiar, most strangers all smiling at him, celebrating him. For the first time in his life, he let himself feel it. The pride, the gratitude, the overwhelming, terrifying, beautiful reality of being seen. Okay, he whispered. Okay. The party went late into the night. Nathan shook hands until his arm ached, heard stories that made him laugh and cry, and watched as people from completely different worlds found common ground over food and music and shared purpose. Around 11 p.m., he slipped outside for some air. The parking lot was quiet now, most of the bikes and cars gone. Stars glittered overhead, and the October wind carried the smell of exhaust and fallen leaves. Footsteps behind him. Junior, the 17-year-old from the warehouse, appeared beside him. Hey, the kid said. Hey yourself, shouldn't you be inside? Needed a break. Junior shoved his hands in his pockets. Too many people. Gets overwhelming. Tell me about it. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. I heard what you said at the press conference, Junior finally said, about being homeless, about that guy Henry who helped you. Nathan nodded. All true. I've been thinking, Junior's voice was hesitant, about what you said to me last week, about doing the right thing even when it costs you something. Yeah, Junior turned to face him. I want to be like that, like you, someone who stands up, someone who helps people even when it's hard. Nathan's chest tightened. You already are, he said. You showed up here 8 months ago scared and angry and ready to give up. But you didn't. You kept coming back, kept learning, kept pushing. He put a hand on Junior's shoulder. That's courage, kid. That's character. Everything else is just details. Junior's eyes glistened. You really think I can make it? I know you can. Nathan met his gaze. Because someone believed in me once when I had nothing. And now I believe in you. That's how it works. That's how we change the world one person at a time. Junior nodded slowly. Then unexpectedly, he stepped forward and hugged Nathan. Brief, awkward, fierce. Thank you, he whispered, for seeing me. Then he walked back inside, leaving Nathan alone under the stars. Nathan stayed there for a long time thinking about everything that had led to this moment. His mother's death, the years on the streets, Henry Wallace and his $20 offer, 3 years of invisibility at Hendricks Auto, one desperate biker, one choice, one moment of compassion that had changed everything. The door opened behind him. Sarah wheeled out a blanket draped over her lap, breath misting in the cold air. There you are. Dad was worried you'd run away. Just thinking. Dangerous habit. She rolled up beside him. What about how strange life is, how one small decision can ripple out and touch people you never expected? Sarah nodded. The butterfly effect. Something like that. Nathan looked up at the stars. A week ago, I was nobody. Just another mechanic trying to get by. Now I don't even know what I am. You're Nathan Cole. Sarah's voice was firm. Director of training at Iron Redemption. Lead technician at Hendricks Auto. Friend of the Morrison family. And apparently some kind of viral internet sensation. Nathan laughed. That last part still doesn't feel real. Give it time. Sarah reached out and took his hand. You know what I think? I think you've always been this person. The kind of guy who helps strangers, who stands up when everyone else sits down, who sees people for who they really are, not how they look. The video didn't change you. It just showed the world what was already there. Nathan looked at her, this 16-year-old girl who'd nearly died, who'd lost her mother, who'd faced more pain than most people twice her age. And somehow, despite everything, she radiated hope. How are you so wise? He asked. Suffering. She said it simply without self-pity. It either destroys you or it teaches you. I chose to learn. They sat in silence for a while, hands clasped, watching the stars. I'm scared, Nathan admitted. Of what? Of failing, of letting people down, of not being good enough for everything everyone expects me to be. Sarah squeezed his hand. Want to know a secret? Everyone's scared. My dad, who looks like he could bench press a car. Uncle Marcus, who runs a multi-million-dollar company. Even me. She smiled softly. Fear isn't the enemy, Nathan. It's the reminder that what you're doing matters. The only people who aren't scared are the ones who aren't trying. The door opened again. Vince walked out, leather jacket over his shoulders, 2 bottles of beer in his hands. Room for one more, Nathan nodded. Vince handed him a bottle and leaned against the wall. Hell of a week. That's an understatement. Vince took a long drink. You know, when Lisa was dying, she made me promise 3 things. Take care of Sarah, build something that helps people, and never give up on Redemption mine or anyone else's. He stared at the sky. For 8 years, I've been trying to keep those promises. Some days it's easy, most days it's hard. But every time I see a kid graduate from this program, every time I watch someone who had nothing turn into someone with a future, I feel her with me, telling me to keep going. His voice roughened. You're part of that now, Nathan. Part of Lisa's legacy. Part of our family. He looked at his daughter, then at Nathan. I don't know what's coming next. Nobody does. But I know this, whatever it is, we face it together. Nathan felt something shift inside him. A wall he'd built years ago, brick by brick, finally crumbling. Together, he repeated. Vince raised his bottle. To family, the one we're born with and the one we choose. Nathan raised his own. To second chances. Sarah lifted an imaginary glass. To Nathan Cole, the man who changed everything by doing one simple thing, being kind. They drank, the stars glittered, the wind whispered, and somewhere in the city, 20 million people had watched a video of a mechanic losing his job for helping a stranger. But none of them knew the real story. They didn't know about Henry Wallace or the 2 years on the streets. They didn't know about Sarah's smile or Vince's grief or Jonas's quiet loyalty. They didn't know about Junior or Maya or the hundreds of lives that had been touched by one act of compassion, rippling outward like waves in a pond. They saw a hero. Nathan saw something simpler. A man who'd been given a chance, a man who'd decided to pass it on, a man who'd finally stopped being invisible and started becoming who he was meant to be. Not perfect, not a saint, just human. And that was enough. He looked at Vince and Sarah, his family now, as strange and unexpected as that seemed, and felt something he hadn't felt since his mother died. Whole. So, Sarah said, breaking the silence. What happens tomorrow? Nathan smiled. Tomorrow we go back to work, we fix cars, we teach kids, we build something that matters. He took a breath. And we keep proving that doing the right thing is always worth it. Even when it costs you everything. Especially when it costs you everything. Vince nodded. That's the Morrison way. That's the Nathan Cole way, Sarah corrected. And honestly, I think the world could use a lot more of it. They walked back inside together, leaving the cold night behind. The party was winding down now, people gathering their coats, saying goodbyes, making promises to return next Saturday. Jonas caught Nathan's eye across the room and raised his coffee cup in a silent salute. Marcus Hendricks was shaking hands near the door, politician smooth but genuinely grateful. Bruno and his Hells Angels brothers were cleaning up tables, their massive frames surprisingly gentle as they stacked chairs and collected trash. Nathan stood in the middle of it all and let himself feel it. The warmth, the belonging, the purpose. For 32 years, he'd been searching for something, a place where he fit, where he mattered, where he wasn't just surviving, but actually living. He'd finally found it. Not in a job title or a viral video or a $1 million partnership, in people, in community, in the simple radical act of showing up for each other. That was the real lesson. That was what Henry Wallace had taught him all those years ago, what Lisa Morrison had believed until her last breath, what Vince and Sarah and Jonas and Junior and everyone in this warehouse understood in their bones. We don't rise alone, we rise together. And when we reach back to pull someone else up, when we offer our hand to a stranger, a second chance to the lost, a moment of kindness to the broken, we become part of something bigger than ourselves, something that lasts, something that matters. Nathan Cole took one last look around the warehouse, his warehouse now in a way, and smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, new chances to prove that one person could make a difference. But tonight he wasn't thinking about tomorrow. Tonight he was just grateful for the man who'd swept him off the streets, for the biker who'd needed help on the worst day of his life, for the daughter who'd looked at him and seen someone worth believing in, for every moment, every choice, every small act of courage that had led him here. This was his life now. This was his family. This was his purpose. And Nathan Cole was finally completely, unshakably ready to live it. Because in the end, that's what redemption really means. Not erasing the past, not forgetting the pain, just choosing every single day to build something better, something worth fighting for, something worth becoming. Sometimes the people society fears the most are the ones who understand compassion the best. And sometimes losing everything is the only way to find where you truly belong. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because kindness is contagious and the world could always use a little more.